Hello, I'm Marsha Chan from Mission College, and I'm welcoming you to Advanced Grammar Review and Editing. This time we're talking about gerunds and infinitives. First, we'll see how gerunds and infinitives are used in context in an article called Overwork in America. Then we'll discuss the form, meaning, and use of gerunds and infinitives. Some verbs are followed by gerunds, others are followed by infinitives. Some verbs can be followed by both gerunds and infinitives, sometimes with the same meaning, other times with different meanings. We'll talk about the form, meaning, and use of passive gerunds and infinitives, as well as perfect gerunds and infinitives. We'll look at writing, where the errors are made in gerunds and infinitives, and how we can edit out those errors. Activity 2. Overwork in America. When the way we work becomes too much. What happens when employees are overworked? This study found that the more overworked employees are, the more likely they are to make mistakes at work, and the more likely they are to feel angry at their employers for expecting them to do so much. A recent research project studied a number of factors in order to determine why people feel overworked. How does the way we work today contribute to overwork? Because we tend to focus mainly on time spent on the job as the major indicator of when we are working too much, it's easy to overlook other aspects of employment that contribute to overwork. Lack of focus. Lack of focus refers to the inability to focus on one's work because of constant interruptions and distractions. It is also a result of multitasking. Multitasking is obviously a very important skill to develop in today's economy, but employers may be asking some employees to multitask too much. The study shows that 56% of employees say they often or very often experience one or both of the following problems during a typical work week when they try focusing on their jobs. I have to work on too many tasks at the same time. I am interrupted repeatedly during the workday. It's difficult to get my work done on time. The study found that employees who have more difficulty focusing at work feel highly overworked. Low-value work. Some employees think the tasks they are asked to do are simply a waste of time, such as having a meeting to plan a meeting. So, researchers have begun asking employees how strongly they agree with this statement. I waste a lot of time doing tasks that aren't important. Overall, the study found that 29% of employees strongly or somewhat agree with the statement. Those who agree are more likely to be highly overworked. Accessibility outside the office. The study asked employees this question: how often do coworkers, supervisors, managers, customers, or clients contact you, or do you contact them, to discuss work-related matters outside normal working hours? As technology and flexibility work schedules begin to blur the lines between work time and free time, the study showed that 1 in 3 employees, 33%, is in contact with work once a week or more outside normal working hours. And consequently, these employees feel highly overworked, 44%. Activity 3. After you read, think about the purpose of the research study and summarize the 3 research results discussed in the extract. If you are a worker, you might have some feelings of overwork. and you might have some ideas about what should be done about overwork. Maybe you have some feelings about it and some solutions. Also, I'd like you to reread the passage and think critically about form. Especially look at the highlighted gerunds and infinitives in the reading, and then categorize them. Here are the categories that you need to think about, and some of them are already done for you. First category is infinitives, and the second is gerunds. Then we have subcategories. For infinitives, find a sentence that's beginning with it. We have one example here already. It's easy to overlook. So here's a sentence beginning with it. To overlook is an infinitive. So it plus be plus an adjective. It is easy. It is easy to do something. It's easy to overlook. Find another sentence with the infinitive directly after a verb. That means verb plus infinitive. Find another phrase with a verb plus an object followed by an infinitive. So where do you see an infinitive right after a verb plus object? Find an infinitive after an adjective plus infinitive. Find an infinitive after a noun. Here's an example. The inability, which inability? The inability to focus on one's work. To focus on one's work is an infinitive that describes or defines the noun ability. Now, in the category of gerunds, please find at least one gerund that's used as the subject of the sentence. Then, find another one that's used directly after a verb. In other words, verb plus infinitive. Here's an example. Try focusing on their jobs. The main verb is try, and the object is the gerund focusing. Now you want to look for a gerund after a verb plus object. That means you'll see a verb plus an object and then a gerund. Here's an example. Have more difficulty focusing at work. Have is the verb. Difficulty is the object. To have difficulty requires the gerund form. To have difficulty focusing at work. After a preposition. So find a preposition plus gerund. After you have found all of these, then you can watch the next video.